Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are tackling what is absolutely, without a doubt, the single most crucial first step in any trading analysis: quantifying the market trend. I mean, look, if you've ever stared at a stock chart that's just totally cluttered with overlapping lines, bright colors, and flashing buy-sell signals, and literally felt a headache coming on, well, you are definitely not alone. But before we can make any sense of all that noise, we have to build a rock-solid foundation, and that whole process starts right here, with understanding the trend. So, let's just dive right into it with a really critical and honestly a super frustrating question. Why do popular trading indicators suddenly just stop working? You know exactly the feeling, right? You find this amazing indicator, it works flawlessly for a few trades, and then bam, out of nowhere, it starts feeding you completely false signals and your portfolio takes a massive hit. You're left wondering, what on earth changed? Well, the answer actually lies in a very simple but incredibly common misstep right at the very beginning of your analysis.
All right, let's move into section 1, the essential first step.
Okay, so here is the trap. The biggest mistake traders make is jumping straight to those advanced indicator signals without taking a second to understand basic supply and demand. It is just so tempting to load up a chart with complex math and expect it to do all the heavy lifting for you, isn't it? But here's the reality. The underlying price trend is the absolute necessary backdrop for all of your analysis. If you skip this part, you are essentially walking blindfolded into a brick wall. It's a guaranteed disaster. Think about how smoothly the gears of a trading strategy turn during a really clear upward move. It's great, but they completely shatter during a choppy sideways market. You see, popular indicators are a lot like a GPS. They work beautifully when you're cruising down a highway with a clear direction. But when a market loses its direction and just drifts sideways, well, the math behind those indicators gets completely confused. And that is exactly when all those terrible false signals start to trigger. So, how do we avoid this trap? You must strictly follow a specific order of operations. Kind of think of it like a funnel. First, at the very top, step 1, you must objectively quantify the current trend. You literally have to ask yourself, is the price going up, down, or sideways? And don't just guess, you have to quantify it. Then, and only after that first step is complete, do you move to step 2 and apply your intermediate or advanced analysis methods. This sequence is absolutely vital because it allows you to properly assess the odds of a trend actually continuing.
Let's move on to section 2. What is a trend?
Breaking this down to its absolute simplest terms, a trend is just a series of price swings traveling in the same direction over time. I really want you to notice that key phrase, a series of price swings, because as we know, markets rarely ever move in perfectly straight lines, right? They breathe in and they breathe out. So a trend is simply observing those ongoing swings and confirming that they are in fact traveling in a unified direction. Keeping this really simple definition in the back of your mind is going to prevent you from overcomplicating everything.
That brings us to section 3, anatomy of market directions.
Now notice the clear mathematical dichotomy going on here. An uptrend isn't just a subjective gut feeling that a stock looks pretty strong. No, it is strictly defined as a stair-step series of higher swing highs and higher swing lows. And in direct contrast to that, a downtrend is a mirrored series of lower swing highs and lower swing lows. Spotting these exact mathematical pivot points is a real game changer because it completely removes all the emotion from your analysis. Now, once an uptrend is objectively confirmed, you don't want to just go out and buy randomly. Since we know that markets constantly swing and breathe, smart traders look for a specific target. They look for those strategic buying opportunities during temporary, natural downward pullbacks. You are essentially using the established trend to find the safest, most logical entry points at expected support levels, right before the price naturally bounces back up.
But you also have to keep in mind that these movements don't just unfold in a vacuum. They happen across multiple time frames all at once: secular, intermediate, and short-term trends. You might have a massive, sweeping long-term secular uptrend, but inside of it, you've got these jagged, short-term swings that pull back against it. So properly identifying your specific time frame is totally crucial, because your trend assessment has to align perfectly with your actual real-world trading horizon.
All right, let's wrap things up with section 4, the weight of evidence. This whole concept is just beautifully summarized by Martin Pring in his classic book, Technical Analysis Explained. He points out that your job isn't to predict the daily news or monetary policy or some crazy economic forces. The true art of this process is simply to identify the trend early and then, and honestly, this is probably the hardest part for any trader, you just have to sit on your hands. You literally must maintain your posture until the data objectively proves a reversal has happened. So for us, as traders and investors, there are two core concepts that underscore every single decision we make. Number one, identify trend changes early using those swing highs and lows we talked about. And number two, wait for the weight of the evidence. Just imagine a physical scale slowly piling up with files and data. You cannot let one minor daily blip shake you out of a confirmed trend. You have to require the market to pile on substantial, absolutely irrefutable proof that the direction has actually changed.
So as we bring this explainer to a close, I want you to really ask yourself, before you place your very next trade, are you going to jump straight back to those flashy indicators just hoping for a magical signal? Or are you going to objectively quantify the trend first? Does the sheer weight of the evidence actually support the move you are about to make? Remember, the trend is the necessary backdrop for absolutely everything you do in the markets. Master this one thing, and your trading will finally rest on solid ground. So what is your chart really telling you right now?